Kamala Harris is back at it, pushing her new book, 107 Days. Of all the dribs and drabs that we've gotten so far, this might be the best. The initial answers she got from her Democrat friends when seeking their endorsement. Let me show you over up at the wall. First up, Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, responded to Kamala Harris. I believe you'll win, but I need to let the dust settle. Talk to my colleagues before I make a public statement. I'll call you back later. Or how about former President Barack Obama, who said, saddle up, Joe did what I hoped he would do, but you have to earn it. Michelle and I are supportive, but not going to put a finger on the scale right now. Let Joe have his moment. Think through the timing. Not exactly the response that you want if you're Kamala Harris. Or how about this from Nancy Pelosi? I'm so sad about Joe, as she's pulling the knife out of his back. It's so tragic. My heart is broken. But now it's you. It's important. There's a process. We have a great bench. We should have some kind of primary, not an anointment. And then Bernie Sanders said, please focus on the working class, not just on abortion. I don't know why that seemed particularly funny to me, but he's hoping that she'll broaden the aperture of the issues that might be the focus of her campaign run for the presidency. Gavin Newsom might be the best, though. She texted Gavin Newsom for his endorsement. His response, hiking, we'll call back. He never did. J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, said, as governor of Illinois, I'm the convention host. I can't commit. These are really sad for Kamala. Why the lukewarm response? Well, maybe it's because she had no new ideas of her own. And today, Harris got to address that moment on The View.
You say everything about my appearance on The View was going well until it wasn't. The Trump campaign weaponized your answer against you. My question, do you think that moment tipped the election?
No.
Good, because Sunny doesn't want to take the blame.
So it wasn't that moment that took her down, but apparently it wasn't her VP pick either.
To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for President of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for President of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
If you ran that through a translator or just passed it through an editor, it would read like follows. No, I didn't say I couldn't pick him as a vice president because he's gay. I couldn't pick him as a vice president, in fact, because he was gay. Cut the word salad out, and that's exactly what you get. Joining me now to continue the conversation, former Democrat campaign fundraiser Evan Barker. Evan, thanks for being with us here today. I don't know if it sells books, but it sure doesn't sell a future run for the presidency, this book tour. Kamala Harris is giving now what might be some of her greatest hits.
Well, I've got 3 words for you, Will. She is running, and God help us. I truly believe that with this new book, Kamala is trying to make the case to the American people that she just didn't have enough time. Even the title of the book, 107 Days, is aiming to make this argument to the American people. But, you know, the irony of all of this, actually, Will, is that the longer Kamala Harris was a candidate, the more unpopular she became. So I'm not buying this, and I would be surprised if the American people are too. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Democratic establishment ends up backing her in 2028.
No, see, I would, though, Evan. See, this tour, it's full of comedy. And it's, you know, we could play clips for 30 minutes straight from just her media appearances in the last 24 hours alone. And we could laugh about her talking about that being the tightest election of the 21st century. Obviously, it was not. I don't know if she's ever heard of a hanging Chad. But those clips aren't really the point of why she can't run for presidency in 2028. I think it's because she continues to insult and undercut her fellow Democrats. It isn't the people as a Democrat that pick you as their candidate. It's the apparatus that picks you as their candidate. You just have to ask Bernie Sanders, or you just have to know Hillary Clinton. And right now, Kamala Harris is burning down that apparatus, the one that would support her as a Democrat.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think she's really spreading the responsibility to everyone else except for herself. She just wants to blame other people. She's not actually taking responsibility, and that's what a leader is supposed to do. So I also saw on The View, they asked her about her decision to not challenge Joe Biden about running again for president. And she said that she just didn't feel like she could do that, that it would come off as being self-serving. Well, I think that alone should disqualify her from running again, because it shows that she didn't have the best interest of the American people in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, that's a great point. While trying to come off looking gracious and not self-serving, she was concerned with how she was looking and not the effect of Joe Biden's senility on America. Really good stuff, Evan. Thank you for being with us.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris revealed in her new book that she berated staffers for not adequately prepping her for an interview right before the election with YouTube personality Dr. Mike. What the was that? Harris asked her senior aides after a brief Zoom interview with Dr. Mikhail Mike Varshavsky, according to her 2024 election memoir, 107 Days. Harris wrote that one of her staffers, Kirsten Allen, had informed her that the interview on November 1st, 2024, would just be a brief thing on the RFK appointment, referring to President Donald Trump announcing that he planned to give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a big role in healthcare if elected. But Dr. Mike said in his introduction of Harris to his Checkup podcast that he wanted to ask about healthcare costs, anti-science rhetoric, barriers to primary care, and women's health. Harris wrote of her thoughts at the time, "What the fuck? This is clearly not a brief thing on RFK. Dr. Mike was deeply knowledgeable, warmed up on all these issues, and raring to go." As I would have been had I not just been ambushed by an unscheduled in-depth interview with no notice at the end of a 19-hour day. I slid a scribbled note across the table. "Where's my briefing?" The staff looked at each other. They had nothing, the former vice president continued in the book. Harris said that after the interview, another one of her staffers, Brian Fallon, tried to explain the rationale behind the sit-down. "I raised my hand and stopped him mid-sentence," she wrote. "Brian," I said through gritted teeth, "that was a rhetorical question." Dr. Mike reacted to the excerpt on social media during the interview that was published November. 3. Harris criticized Kennedy as Dr. Mike raised concerns over Kennedy's potential role in a future Trump administration. Harris said she intended to win the election and was working hard to prevent things like Kennedy taking a position of influence. Trump went on to win the race, and Kennedy now heads the Department of Health and Human Services. Harris's memoir has received mixed to negative reviews, even from progressive outlets, and some Democrats have panned it as divisive and unhelpful. The former vice president has also been criticized for admitting in the book that she wanted former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to be her running mate, but she decided that he was too big a risk because he's a gay man. Harris wrote that Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner, but if I were a straight white man. But we were already asking a lot of America to accept a woman black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk, she added. And I think Pete also knew that, to our mutual sadness.